Good morning, boys and girls. I'm happy to see you again. Welcome back to week 3, I suppose, of our art class. And what we're going to do is talk about line again. Now, if you remember last week and the week before that, we were talking about kinds of lines. The kinds of lines, right? So when we're talking about kinds of lines, we are talking about straight lines, and we're talking about, let's see, straight lines in many directions, all directions, right? But straight, vertical, straight, horizontal, straight diagonals. Another kind of line would be a curved line, curved like a letter C, or curved could be like this. Curved could be like this. I know we call these many different things. You could call this bumpy, you could call this wavy or this wavy. However, no matter what other kind of name you give it, the real name for it is a curved line. Why? Because it does not remain straight. It's the opposite of straight. It curves around, okay? And the other last kind of line would be a zigzag. A zigzag line, right? Okay, so those are the kinds of line. Now, quality of line. Quality of line is the purpose of our lesson for today, and that is different, very, very different. So whether you are looking at an artist like Vincent van Gogh and his self-portrait here, or whether you're looking at Spanish painter Francisco de la Hoya, whose work is here, their lines and their quality of line is very different. It is very varied. Varied means different, showing a variety, right? You have a variety pack of chips, right? So you have some Fritos, you have some Doritos, you have some regular potato chips. That is a variety, right? Those are yummy things to eat. But anyway, not as good as apples and strawberries and other things that are healthier for you, but a variety of fruits. You have a fruit salad. You don't want to eat only apples, do you? It's more exciting if there's a variety of choices, right? So we're going to talk about the quality of your lines today. And what that means is that Francisco de Hoya's artwork and his quality of line, they are very, very different, and they are showing a different quality in their line. And what that means is the thickness or the thinness of the line, the quality. Does it seem delicate because it's very thin? Does it seem powerful because it's very thick and looks strong? The quality. Here's a very thin line. The quality of this line is very different than the quality of this line. And therefore, it's going to make a different impression in your artwork. Right? It sends a different message, and it might represent different things depending on what you are drawing. So we are going to create different qualities of line. Doesn't matter what kind of a line it is. It could be a zigzag line, but if I make many thin, if I make the quality of this line very thin, it's going to look different than if I make a zigzag line that is this quality. Right? That says something a little different. And you know, differences and variety make your artwork look more interesting. So instead of having the very same kind of line and the same quality of that line, if you vary it, let's say I make this quality of line thick, and then this quality of line thin, and then this one thick again. If I create a pattern of the same kind of line, but a different quality of the line or in the line, that makes my whole look quite different and interesting, right? They are different from one another. Your eye goes to this section right here because it's more interesting, because it's different. This section is all the same. And our eye, just like our mind, gets bored with looking at something that is repeatedly the same, okay? So you are going to work on a piece this week that is showing a different quality of line, and I thought it would be nice to create a line landscape or seascape. This one is a seascape. So I'm gonna put, I'll put half of it. If you can see this, I'm showing you here a sun. This is the sun setting maybe or rising. I tried to show here some mountains in the background. And then over here, I started to show some water and some waves in the ocean. And then again here in the green, a little bit more land, right? So this is the beginning of a seascape. And I used lots and lots of bright colors, and you're going to add color, but that will be next week. So for this week, you're only going to use pencil and a piece of paper. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So we are going to do this. We're going to take a piece of paper, and you can choose if you're going to make it go oriented horizontally, or if you'd like the paper to be oriented vertically like this, you can choose whichever direction you want to hold your paper. I typically like my paper horizontally, so that's what I'm going to do. But I also wanted to show you another example that I made. And this was a landscape, and it was inspired by Vincent van Gogh's The Starry Night, which we have in our art room at PS number 3. And so I just made the mountains in the background. I made them purple, and I used some zigzag lines, and this quality of the line was thinner. Down here in the foreground where I'm showing the grass, I had a thicker quality of line against a thinner quality of line over here. And yeah, then I had the tree with the zigzag lines showing our visual texture, right, if you remember, and then the stars and the wind and the moon. So this one is a landscape, and this one was a seascape. So you can choose if you want to include some water in your piece, that would be a seascape, and if it's all land or mostly land, then it would be a landscape. So I'm going to, I guess I'll just leave these here so that you can still refer to them a little bit, but I am going to ask you to just find a piece of paper, any piece of paper. If it has no lines, that's great. If it has lines, you can still use it, that's great too. If you have a pencil with an eraser, that would be super helpful. If your pencil doesn't have an eraser, but you have a block eraser, that's great. You're going to use pencil just so that you can erase if you make a mistake. And I am going to use marker because I had a bunch of students and parents request that I use marker so that you could see my lines from far away a little easier. So I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna start with just kinds of lines. I'm going to decide, what do I want to show? Do I want a landscape or a seascape? I happen to love the ocean, so I think I'm going to do a seascape. So I'm going to add a curved line here. I'm going to go all the way across, and I'm going to maybe add another curved line, but stop, and then maybe in between here and stop. And I don't want to cross through, but if you wanted to, you could. So I'm starting with some curved lines, and then maybe I want to add another curved line here to show that this is the beach or grass. And I want to show that, so I'm going to make some thick quality of a curved line. And I know that you're using pencil, so I'll show you what I would do in pencil. I would make my curved lines like this, and then I would just make my thick quality of line a little wider. And if I want to take my time to color it all in or shade it in, I could do that. But since I know that next week I'm going to trace and add color, I don't want to waste my time doing that, so I can just go like this. I'll show you closer. This scribble inside of these lines is to remind me, oh, I need to fill this in with crayon or with marker. I'm gonna color that in. Okay, so you can do that, and that saves you a lot of time and effort. But I'm gonna continue going, and I'm gonna go back to my marker so that I can show you what it looks like in the end after you've traced it. And if you have whatever color it is that you're gonna choose, marker or crayon, and you finish your pencil drawing today and you have time and you want to continue and trace your lines, then you certainly may, and it will look like my paper does now. So here's my different quality of line, and I'm gonna continue this. But I think I'm going to stop it. Maybe I'm going to add this line here, and I'm going to stop this here, and maybe I'm going to break it up and I'm going to do this. Thin, thin, thin. I can make whatever kind of patterns I want. I just want to make it look varied and interesting. So maybe I'm going to continue that here. Very thin quality. Thin. Okay? Like there are thin potato chips, and then there are Ruffles, right? And they're thicker potato chips. Can you tell I'm hungry? Okay, so over here, I think I'm going to continue this. So maybe I'm gonna make thin line, a thick curved line, a thin one, a thick one, a variety, right? Let me finish this super quick so I can show you something else. Let's just say that's my land, and here's my water. Maybe I want to make one line that shows both qualities, thick and thin. That's the most interesting to me. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm going to make this super thick into thin, and then thicken it up again. I think that's gonna look super cool. So here I just kind of color it in. And like I said, boys and girls, whatever it is that you have at home is what you need to use, okay? If you only have crayons, or you only have markers, or only have colored pencils, you use what you have. If you happen to have all of those things and then some, oil pastels, chalks, paints, you may use whatever you would like to use and whatever you have available. So if you want to make some lines thick and thin all at once, that is going to make it look really, really interesting. And it could be whatever colors you want. Like I said, I made my pieces very colorful, very full of color, with any colors that I chose. So you could be doing this in marker. If you have a marker or crayon, if I wanted to change it and make these lines blue or green or purple or red, I could. They don't have to be in black. Remember though, I'm using black right now because I'm using marker so that you can see my lines from far away. You are doing this in pencil. So if you make these lines in pencil, then when you go over them in color, give me one sec. Okay, I'm back. Then when you do them in color, let's say I was going to make green mountains, I don't know. I could trace over these lines in green marker. Very, very carefully. We always trace super duper slowly. Why? So that we can hide our pencil marks. We don't ever want to see our pencil. So there's a green line. And then if I wanted to, I happen to have a very thick green Sharpie marker, I could make the thick quality of line like that, and then a very thin quality of line. But I would be doing it in a different color, okay? So let's go back to here, and I am gonna go back over this with black just to keep it consistent, which means the same, so as not to confuse anybody that this week you are only responsible for using pencil to create your landscape or your seascape, okay? Remember, it's a line landscape or seascape, and it's whatever you choose, but I'm just going to do it in marker right now so that you can see my lines on your video. So remember that the purpose of our lesson is to use a variety of a quality of line, right? The quality of line, thick and thin. And you're going back and forth. So here's thick line into a thin line. And that will always make it look very interesting to our eye. So maybe this is a wave. in the water. And by the way, if you happen to like it, just black and white, like this, you can do like Goya did and just use your quality of line in black with your background left white or tan, or if you're using a piece of construction paper and it's a different color, you can do that. You can leave it just black and white or just with a black crayon or a black marker or whatever you choose to use, okay? But I just wanted to let you know that there are lots of options and you're never wrong because it's your artwork and you're the artist. So it's whatever you feel is going to represent your artwork its best, okay? I am just happy that you are creating and that you are here with me, listening and learning new techniques and building upon prior knowledge that we've already learned in previous years. And we always take that knowledge and we add a little bit more. We add one more new component or one more new piece to that bit of information, and that helps us grow as artists. Okay? So that's it. I'm just playing with lines. I'm adding curved lines. I'm adding short lines, long lines, a variety of kinds of lines, and the variety of the quality of the line, okay? So that is it for this week, boys and girls. I'm gonna ask you to please, when you do your artwork, please try not to put your name at the very top or large. Try to put it at the bottom, small, like we do in class, or you can write it on the back since you're using pencil. Another thing that I'd like to remind you of is when you're submitting into Google Classroom, please attach the file to turn it in and then try to submit it that way, okay? Because if you don't attach the file, then I have nothing to see. I see a blank screen and no artwork, okay? So please know that each week our assignments are due on Friday at 2:55. So please send me your artwork. I'm always very excited to see what it is that you've come up with, and I'm really, really happy that you're being very creative and that you're spending this time with me. So thank you very much. And remember, you're only responsible for the pencil this week, or tracing if you'd like to add that in, okay? So thanks for being with me this week, boys and girls. I can't wait to see your artwork. Thanks, bye.